All right, everybody, what's going on? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video, and welcome back to XDefiant. So today we're going to be talking about a subject that I think that the majority of us could probably agree on, and that is a nuke streak of some kind. Now, granted, this is XDefiant, this is not Call of Duty, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the exact same thing. Hell, it doesn't even have to be lethal. To where it just kills the other team completely and changes the map a little bit, and then that's about it. It could actually be a little bit different. But with that being said, I want to know, before we continue on with the subject, what is, even though they're essentially the same thing, what is your favorite version of the nuke in Call of Duty? Is it the nuke in Modern Warfare 2? Is it the Moab in Modern Warfare 3? Is it the Chem Strike in Call of Duty Ghosts? Is it the DNA bomb from Advanced Warfare? Is it the deatomizer strike in Infinite Warfare? Is it the V2 rocket in Call of Duty World War II? And so on and so forth. I'd really like to know what your favorite version of the nuke is, for whatever reason. It's, again, all essentially the same thing, but you guys get the deal. All right, so let's get on with the subject. So now, obviously, one of the things that they did, obviously, in some games, it was a 25 streak requirement, and in other games, it was 30. So first of all, that's what I have to ask you guys in terms of what you think. If there is some sort of nuke or a version of it in this game, in XDefiant, right, do you guys think that you should be rewarded by a 25 gun streak or 30? That is something that I would really like to know. Now, with that being said, I would like to know what your ideas are for a nuke streak in this game. And I have one of my own, and I'm going to share it with you right now. So what I think is, again, it doesn't have to be lethal like it does in other Call of Duty games or anything like that. But it can be, of course. But for me, I keep thinking of this type of streak that would actually disable the faction's abilities, and we're talking all of their abilities, as well as disabling the minimap of the opposing team. I think something like that is deadly enough, right? To where, I mean, imagine once somebody gets this streak that you're not able to use your faction's ability for the remainder of the match, or your minimap for the remainder of the match. Imagine that. Like, that in and of itself would be lethal in and of itself when you kind of think about it. So I think it would be a really big deal. Or, like, let's just say, if it's not for the remainder of the match, let's just say you get a solid amount of time to where you can't use those things, right? Your factions are out of commission and your minimap is not going to work. So I would call it something like an EMP, something related to an EMP, obviously, because, well, you know, that's kind of what an EMP does when you think about it. So that's a few of the things that I have in mind when it comes to that. Now, obviously, if it's something that's of lethal, which I think a lot of people would prefer it to be lethal, you know, they just want to have the ability to eliminate the entire team in one shot, and that's about it, right? So I mean, obviously, it could even be more lethal to where, okay, you can't use your faction's abilities, and it's lethal to where it eliminates everybody else on the opposing team as soon as you call one in, within, you know, after about 10 seconds or something like that. But again, Ubisoft and XDefiant, the crew at, you know, with Mark Rubin's team, could actually do something kind of interesting. So I know for a fact that I don't think they'd be opposed to such an idea, because obviously Mark Rubin obviously was in charge of Ghosts, and he had the Chem Strike in there as well. Now, at the same time, I know that this is not Call of Duty. So, but even if there is, let's just say there is no nuke, right? Let's say there is no nuke. Let's say there doesn't need to be one, blah, blah, blah. Do you think that there should be some sort of special reward for getting that 25 or 30 gun streak? Obviously, like with Black Ops 2, since the Black Ops series, for instance, was never for having some sort of nuke streak like that. They did, however, reward the player with a special medal for going on a certain streak. I think that's pretty much going to be a given that XDefiant would include something like that. I think there's already something in place if you go on a certain streak. So, but I'm thinking if there was something that was a way to reward a player, what would that be? Like, would it be a special calling card. And I think a lot of players, like I for one love calling cards, but I know that a lot of players are pretty much getting sick and tired of calling cards at this point. But I think I've mentioned in a previous video, and if not, I'm going to mention it now. I think that like what they should do with calling cards is if you earn a calling card, you should have the option of making it your background in your main menu HUD before going into a match. So if you've got an animated Nuke calling card that you've earned or something like that, or if we're going on a certain streak or whatever it is, like imagine that being your background when you're in your menu and you're creating your classes and doing all that stuff. I personally think that that would be pretty freaking cool if you ask me. To have that ability to where those calling cards could actually be your background. I think that'd be pretty cool, especially if they're animated. So, or, you know, going back to the subject of yesterday, talking about camos, was imagine if you're actually able to get a very certain specific type of camo for going on that streak. I think a lot of players would appreciate that, right? And plus it gives them the chance to show it off in game. It's like, oh, wow, I just got killed by this dude. Holy crap, that is a badass camo. How did he get that? Oh, he got that from getting a nuke or by going on a 25 gun streak or a 30 gun streak or something like that. It's all about rewarding the player. I saw a comment earlier that you know, the game should feel fine by itself without all these other bells and whistles that we've been talking about. And I agree with that to a certain extent. I agree that yes, the base game without all the bells and whistles need to be fine, which is perfectly fine. And that should be the #1 priority, absolutely. However, why can't we have both? I mean, Black Ops 2, I think we could all agree. I mean, Black Ops 2 was not a perfect game, of course, but it was pretty damn good in my opinion. So one of the things that Black Ops 2 did, it managed to give us both. I mean, we got both the, like for instance, the camo system, the grind, the prestige, all that kind of stuff. Diamond camo for people that wanted to go beyond gold, right, and stuff like that. And the base game itself was fun. So it's like, why can't we have both? Why not? The more the better, in my opinion. And again, times have changed with games, just like I've mentioned before, like how people are sweatier because they're just more skilled on average compared to what they used to be back in the day for the most part. It's the same thing. Like people just need more games. These kinds of arcade shooters have been around for a long time, and yes, a lot of people do have a low attention span. There's definitely a lot to be said about that. And the more content there is in the game, the longer you keep those people in game. Absolutely. But even for the people that would stick with the game, whether or not they add these things in, like someone like myself or someone like Decoy or someone like someone else who's a very hardcore arcade first-person shooter fan, for instance, just to name a few people, and there's plenty of them out there. You know, even for us, I think that would be great just to have extra bells and whistles and get more rewards and make the game even more addictive. But with that being said, I want to know down in the comment section, guys, what do you think? Should XDefiant have its own version of a nuke streak or a nuke reward of some kind? And if so, what kind of reward? And if there is a nuke streak of some kind, whether it's lethal or not, give me some ideas down in the comment section below. I'd really like to hear what you guys have to say about that. And with that being said, that pretty much ends today's video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.